Have you ever been so certain about something only to find out later that you were completely wrong? The world we live in bombards us with information, breaking news headlines, social media posts, carefully curated images, and persuasive arguments from friends, family, and strangers. But what if I told you that much of what you see and hear is nothing more than an illusion, a carefully woven narrative designed to manipulate, mislead, or lull you into complacency? The Stoics warned us against blindly accepting appearances. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." These words remind us that reality is often distorted by bias, perception, and manipulation. We are constantly fed information, news, social media, conversations that may not reflect the truth, but rather an interpretation shaped by emotion and external influence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "I learned to read carefully and not be satisfied with a rough understanding of the whole, and not to agree too quickly with those who have a lot to say about something." This quote is a caution against intellectual laziness. In an age where opinions masquerade as facts, it is crucial to analyze, question, and understand before accepting what is presented to us. Another important quote from Marcus Aurelius is, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." It is the person who continues in his self-deception and ignorance who is harmed. The greatest threat is not being wrong, but refusing to acknowledge it. True wisdom lies in adaptability and the pursuit of truth beyond our ego. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "All you need are these: certainty of judgment in the present moment, action for the common good in the present moment, and an attitude of gratitude in the present moment for anything that comes your way." The world's chaos often distracts us, but focusing on what truly matters, judgment, virtue, and gratitude, grounds us in what is real. When you find yourself distracted or stuck with unproductive actions in between routines, remember this Marcus Aurelius quote. "It is essential for you to remember that the attention you give to any action should be in due proportion to its worth, for then you won't tire and give up if you aren't busying yourself with lesser things beyond what should be allowed. Our energy and focus should be spent wisely." Paying attention to distractions or deceptions diminishes our ability to discern truth. When you wake up in the morning and begin your day, remember this Marcus Aurelius quote. Begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." Marcus Aurelius. Expecting such encounters prepares us to handle them with resilience and clarity, rather than being misled by appearances or emotions. In this video, we will explore why you must train yourself to question everything, even your own senses, if you wish to live with clarity and wisdom. Lesson 1. The deception of daily news cycles. The news is designed to grab your attention, not necessarily to inform you with unbiased facts. Sensationalism sells, and fear is a powerful tool. You might see an alarming headline and immediately believe the world is falling apart. But step back. How often do these stories lack context, exaggerate reality, or feed into pre-existing biases? What is left unsaid in these narratives? What motives are driving the urgency of such stories? The Stoics would tell us to remain calm, to seek truth beyond appearances. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Marcus Aurelius. Just because something is reported with urgency does not mean it deserves urgency in your mind. Headlines are crafted to trigger an emotional response, not necessarily to provide clarity. Moreover, misinformation spreads faster than truth. especially in the digital age. A single misleading tweet, repeated enough times, becomes a distorted version of reality that shapes public perception. Marcus Aurelius also reminds us that before reacting to the latest crisis, we must pause, analyze multiple perspectives, and question the intent behind the message. The key is to develop the ability to filter through the noise and uncover what is actually relevant. If we allow ourselves to be swayed by every alarming headline, we become emotionally reactive rather than intellectually prepared. Marcus Aurelius also instructs us, "It is essential for you to remember that the attention you give to any action should be in due proportion to its worth. For then, you won't tire and give up if you aren't busying yourself with lesser things beyond what should be allowed." The energy we give to consuming news should be mindful and measured. Only by questioning the source, analyzing intent, and cross-checking facts can we begin to see beyond the facade and get closer to the truth. The next time you see a breaking news story, ask yourself, is this designed to inform or to provoke an emotional reaction? Seek out multiple sources, read beyond the headline, and always remember, news is often a business first and truth second. The next time you see an alarming news headline, pause. Ask yourself, is this designed to inform or to provoke an emotional reaction? Seek out multiple sources, read beyond the headline, and always remember, news is often a business first and truth second. Lesson 2. The illusions of social media. Scroll through your feed and you'll see people living their best lives, lavish vacations, perfect relationships, effortless success. But what you're witnessing is a highlight reel, not reality. Social media creates an illusion of perfection, making you feel like you're falling behind in life. Yet, if you were to step behind the scenes, you would see that these curated moments are only fragments of a much larger, more complex picture, one that includes struggles, insecurities, and unseen challenges. The Stoics remind us that what truly matters is not how things appear, but how they actually are. Marcus Aurelius wisely observed that everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Social media feeds on perception rather than reality, leading us to believe that we are inadequate, that we are missing out, or that our lives lack the excitement and perfection of others. However, the carefully constructed images, the polished captions, and the staged videos do not tell the full story. They are designed to provoke envy, to seek validation, and to shape how people want to be seen, not necessarily who they truly are. The danger of believing in this illusion is that it fosters comparison, self-doubt, and an endless chase for an unattainable ideal. But true fulfillment does not come from appearing successful to others. It comes from internal growth and wisdom. Instead of believing the surface-level portrayals we see online, we must train ourselves to look deeper, to question what is being presented, and to find contentment within ourselves rather than through external validation. To navigate this digital illusion wisely, we must remind ourselves that our worth is not measured by likes, comments, or followers. We should focus on our own progress, our personal development, and the things that bring us genuine happiness. By detaching ourselves from the false narratives of social media and grounding ourselves in reality, we can cultivate a mindset that seeks truth over illusion, substance over appearance, and fulfillment over fleeting validation. Before comparing your life to someone else's post, remind yourself that you are only seeing a fragment of their reality. People rarely showcase their struggles, failures, or insecurities. Focus on your own growth rather than chasing illusions. Lesson 3. Friends that do not serve your growth. Not everyone who surrounds you is meant to stay in your life. Some people thrive on gossip, negativity, or drama. They may appear supportive, but subtly discourage you from pursuing your goals. The Stoics teach us to judge people not by their words, but by their actions. It is easy to mistake familiarity for genuine friendship, but the reality is that not all relationships are beneficial. Some people are drawn to you out of convenience rather than true respect or shared values. Others may remain in your life simply because of history, not because they actively contribute to your growth or well-being. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we should evaluate the people around us with clarity. In the same way, surrounding ourselves with people who challenge us to grow rather than those who encourage complacency is crucial. Recognizing who truly supports your journey and who merely distracts you is essential. Some people will only celebrate your victories but remain silent in your struggles. Others may claim to support your aspirations but subtly inject doubt and discouragement. The key is to observe their patterns rather than just their words. Some may even be jealous of anything good that happens to you, or in fact engage in silent competition, hiding their envy behind polite smiles and empty congratulations. This type of individual often measures their success against yours, not celebrating your achievements, but rather seeing them as personal defeats. Instead of seeking self-improvement, they focus on comparison, turning every milestone you reach into a reason for their resentment. Such people may not openly sabotage you, but their subtle gestures, lack of enthusiasm for your victories, passive-aggressive comments, or reluctance to support your aspirations speak volumes. They may seek to downplay your progress or subtly insert doubt into your mind, making you second-guess your path. These behaviors are not always overt, but they accumulate over time, affecting your confidence and direction. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to remain vigilant against such influences. Begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." Recognizing these patterns allows us to protect our energy, ensuring we do not let others' insecurities and envy derail our personal growth. Surrounding yourself with those who genuinely celebrate your successes and encourage your progress is crucial. Choose your circle wisely, ensuring that those around you inspire growth rather than inhibit it. True friends uplift you, push you toward greatness, and remind you of your own potential without making everything a competition. Not all relationships are built on mutual growth. Some exist out of habit, convenience, or obligation. People who genuinely care about your well-being will push you to grow, not just when it is easy, but especially when it is difficult. A true supporter will challenge you to think critically, to improve, and to align your actions with your principles. On the other hand, those who remain indifferent to your growth or seek to hold you back, whether out of jealousy, fear, or their own insecurities, should be recognized for what they are: obstacles to your progress. Marcus Aurelius also reminds us of the importance of mindful association. This is not a cynical view, but rather a realistic one. The sooner we accept that we will encounter such individuals, the better prepared we are to remain unshaken in our course. Instead of being disheartened by the presence of negativity, we should use it as an opportunity to practice patience, resilience, and discernment in choosing who deserves our time and trust. The Stoics teach us that a strong mind requires a strong environment. A healthy, growth-oriented environment fosters wisdom, self-discipline, and virtue. If your friendships do not inspire you to think deeply, to act with integrity, and to challenge yourself, then they may be subtly leading you astray. There is no virtue in maintaining relationships that drain you, that leave you feeling exhausted, anxious, or unsupported. A wise person actively cultivates meaningful relationships, setting clear boundaries with those who hinder their personal evolution. They are not afraid to distance themselves from those who do not align with their pursuit of truth and wisdom. As Epictetus advises, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. By carefully selecting the individuals who occupy our space, physically, mentally, and emotionally, we preserve our peace, safeguard our energy, and ensure that we remain steadfast on our journey of self-improvement. Choosing our inner circle wisely is not an act of selfishness, but of self-respect. When we surround ourselves with those who uplift, challenge, and support us, we cultivate an environment where growth becomes inevitable, and in that environment, we become the best versions of ourselves. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do they uplift you, challenge you, and push you toward growth? Or do they drain your energy and reinforce your worst habits? Do they engage in meaningful conversations that expand your mind? Or do they pull you into cycles of gossip and negativity? Consider the long-term effects of your interactions. Are these relationships fostering resilience, wisdom, and self-improvement? Or are they subtly eroding your sense of self-worth and direction? Your environment plays a crucial role in shaping your mindset and habits. If you surround yourself with individuals who encourage you to reach your highest potential, you will naturally move towards success and personal fulfillment. Conversely, if you engage with those who thrive on drama, pessimism, or complacency, their energy will inevitably influence your own. The Stoics remind us that the company we keep should align with our values and aspirations. A strong support system consists of people who offer constructive feedback rather than empty praise, who celebrate your successes with genuine enthusiasm, and who stand by you during difficult times. These are the individuals who see your potential even when you doubt yourself, who challenge you to refine your character, and who remind you of your purpose when you lose focus. Be mindful of those who only appear in times of success, but vanish when struggle arises. True friendships endure both highs and lows. Choosing your circle wisely is not an act of exclusion, but of self-respect. Life is too short to invest energy in relationships that hinder your progress. Seek out those who inspire you, push you beyond your comfort zone, and encourage you to become the best version of yourself. In doing so, you cultivate an environment of growth, authenticity, and mutual empowerment. Lesson 4. Surface relationships and false connections. In a world obsessed with networking and social validation, it's easy to mistake quantity for quality. You may have thousands of online connections, yet feel deeply lonely. The illusion of connection, fostered by likes, comments, and virtual interactions, can create a false sense of belonging, yet leave an individual feeling more isolated than ever. Social media has made relationships transactional, where interactions are often driven by personal gain rather than genuine care. True relationships are built on depth, trust, and shared values, not on superficial interactions. The Stoics remind us that appearances mean nothing if they are not backed by virtue. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The same can be said of relationships. It is not the number of people in your life, but the authenticity of those connections that determine your sense of fulfillment. A deep, meaningful conversation with one person can bring more comfort and understanding than 1,000 passive acknowledgements online. The danger of shallow connections is that they can lead us to place importance on external validation rather than internal growth. When relationships are based on convenience rather than commitment, they lack resilience. When difficulties arise, these surface-level bonds tend to dissolve, revealing their fragility. The Stoics teach us to value quality over quantity, to seek friendships that foster growth rather than merely fill time. Moreover, many of these relationships are built on image rather than substance. In the digital age, it is common for people to curate a version of themselves that they wish others to see, rather than who they truly are. This leads to relationships based on illusion rather than reality. The effort spent maintaining a persona can create exhaustion, leaving little room for genuine connection. To cultivate meaningful relationships, we must prioritize those who challenge us to grow, who encourage us to be better, and who remain steadfast through adversity. The presence of even one true friend, one person who understands and supports you without hidden motives, is far more valuable than 1,000 acquaintances who only show up when it benefits them. As the Stoics teach, relationships built on virtue and trust stand the test of time, while those rooted in superficiality crumble at the first sign of difficulty. Focus on deepening meaningful connections rather than collecting acquaintances. Ask yourself, who truly knows me? Who stands by me, not just in my successes, but in my struggles? Cultivate relationships based on substance, not convenience. Lesson 5. The misleading nature of first impressions. Your brain is wired to make quick judgments, but first impressions are often misleading. The person who appears confident might be insecure, projecting a false sense of certainty to mask their doubts. The one who seems distant might be battling unseen struggles, carrying burdens that shape their demeanor. We often mistake silence for arrogance, nervousness for incompetence, and extroversion for leadership, but these assumptions can be deeply flawed. The Stoics warn us against jumping to conclusions based on superficial observations. Our tendency to quickly categorize people can prevent us from truly understanding them. A first impression may provide a glimpse, but it rarely reveals the depth of someone's character, values, or struggles. Instead of immediately labeling others based on limited interactions, we should practice patience, curiosity, and a willingness to see beyond surface appearances. Modern psychology supports this notion as well. The fundamental attribution error, a common cognitive bias, leads us to attribute people's behavior to their character rather than their circumstances. When someone is rude, we assume they are an unpleasant person rather than considering that they may be having a terrible day. When someone is quiet, we might label them as unfriendly without realizing they may simply be introverted or overwhelmed. The truth is, we see the world through our own filters, shaped by past experiences and biases rather than as it truly is. To cultivate deeper wisdom, we must train ourselves to pause and seek context before making judgments. Next time you meet someone new or interact with someone whose behavior confuses you, take a moment to ask, could there be more to their story? Approach situations with an open mind, resisting the urge to immediately categorize others. As the Stoics teach us, clarity comes not from assumptions, but from careful observation and an understanding that truth often lies beneath the surface. Train yourself to withhold judgment. When meeting someone new, be curious rather than certain. Seek to understand rather than assume. This habit will prevent you from being deceived by appearances. Lesson 6. The power of questioning everything. We are conditioned to accept authority, traditions, and societal norms without question. From an early age, we are taught to follow rules, believe widely accepted truths, and conform to what society dictates without critically analyzing the reasoning behind them. But the Stoics remind us to be skeptical thinkers. They challenge us to look beyond surface-level assumptions and seek wisdom by questioning the foundations of our beliefs. It is not enough to simply absorb what is given to us. We must engage with it, test its validity, and determine its worth through careful examination. Just because something has always been done a certain way does not mean it is right. Many societal customs exist not because they are just or beneficial, but because they have persisted unchallenged. The passage of time alone does not validate an idea. History is filled with examples of long-held beliefs that were later debunked, from outdated medical practices to social structures that were once considered unchangeable. It takes courage to question long-standing traditions, to step away from the crowd, and to entertain the possibility that commonly held views may be flawed or misguided. Progress is built on those who dare to challenge conventional thinking, those who question the status quo and seek deeper understanding. Without this curiosity and skepticism, we risk stagnation, blindly accepting conventions that may be working against us rather than for us. Just because an idea is popular does not mean it is true. The majority is not always correct. Ideas gain momentum through repetition, influence, and mass acceptance, but none of these factors determine their accuracy. Often, the most widely believed concepts persist, not because they are right, but because they are convenient, comforting, or profitable to those in power. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to be cautious of herd mentality, for popularity often breeds complacency and discourages independent thought. Marcus Aurelius's words encourage us to analyze every belief we encounter, scrutinizing whether it is based on reason or simply widely accepted without question. This applies to all aspects of life, from the media we consume to the advice we receive from peers. Many people accept what they are told without questioning its origins or intent, leading to a culture where misinformation thrives and individuals are easily manipulated. To live wisely, we must cultivate the courage to ask difficult questions and confront uncomfortable truths. We must examine traditions, institutions, and societal norms with a discerning mind, recognizing that truth is not a matter of consensus, but of rigorous inquiry. Many ideas persist simply because they are deeply ingrained in our culture, but longevity alone does not make them valid. It is up to us to challenge long-standing assumptions and investigate whether they serve us or hinder our progress. Questioning the foundations of our beliefs does not mean discarding them entirely. Rather, it means refining them, ensuring they are built on solid ground rather than hollow assumptions. The Stoics teach that self-examination is crucial and that intellectual growth requires constant reassessment. We must develop the discipline to recognize when our beliefs are rooted in tradition rather than truth. This process demands humility, as it requires us to admit when we have been wrong. Intellectual independence means resisting the urge to conform simply for the sake of social harmony and instead pursuing what is real, even if it disrupts our previous understanding of the world. We must challenge ourselves to move beyond passive acceptance and instead cultivate an active pursuit of wisdom, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. This journey requires persistence, an openness to alternative viewpoints, and a commitment to uncovering the truth even when it contradicts our deeply held assumptions. The path to true knowledge is not easy, but it is the only way to liberate ourselves from the illusions of false certainty and step into a world where our beliefs are formed by reason, not blind adherence. Develop the habit of asking, "Is this true? Who benefits from me believing this? What evidence supports this claim?" A questioning mind is a free mind. When we passively accept information without scrutiny, we surrender our autonomy and allow others to shape our perceptions without resistance. The ability to question is the foundation of intellectual freedom and personal growth. Each time you encounter a claim, whether in the news, on social media, or in a conversation, pause and evaluate its validity. Consider the motivations behind the message. Is someone trying to influence your emotions? Are they seeking to gain something by shaping your belief? Misinformation often thrives on emotional responses, and being aware of this manipulation is the first step to resisting it. Furthermore, seek multiple perspectives before forming conclusions. A single source of information is rarely enough to grasp the full picture. Read opposing viewpoints, analyze different angles, and apply logical reasoning before accepting something as truth. A free mind is one that does not merely absorb, but actively filters, challenges, and refines its beliefs. By cultivating the habit of questioning, you develop the ability to think independently and navigate the complexities of the world with clarity and wisdom. Instead of being led by persuasion or emotional influence, you take control of your own understanding, ensuring that the beliefs you hold are truly your own and not just echoes of external forces. Lesson 7. Cognitive biases and how they trick you. Your mind plays tricks on you in more ways than you may realize. Confirmation bias makes you believe what you want to be true, reinforcing pre-existing beliefs rather than challenging them. The availability heuristic makes you think that whatever is most recent is most important, leading you to make decisions based on immediate information rather than the full scope of reality. Anchoring bias causes you to fixate on the first piece of information you receive, whether accurate or not, and base all subsequent judgments on it. Negativity bias makes you dwell on unfavorable information more than positive, altering your perception of reality and making you believe things are worse than they actually are. The Stoics teach us that wisdom begins with awareness of our own mental blind spots. This is the essence of intellectual humility, understanding that our perceptions are not always accurate and being willing to adjust them when necessary. True strength is not in stubbornly clinging to an outdated belief, but in having the courage to change when presented with better reasoning and evidence. Our biases not only impact our personal decisions, but also shape how we perceive others. The halo effect causes us to assume that a person who excels in one area must be competent in others, leading to misplaced trust. This often results in unfair advantages given to individuals based on surface-level attributes rather than true merit. Similarly, the fundamental attribution error leads us to judge people's actions without considering the external circumstances influencing their behavior. We see someone acting impatiently and assume they are rude or short-tempered, rather than considering that they may be having an extremely difficult day. Recognizing these biases helps us avoid making hasty, misguided judgments about ourselves and those around us. Additionally, biases like the self-serving bias, where we attribute our successes to our abilities but blame external factors for our failures, distort our perception of reality. The Dunning-Kruger effect can make individuals overestimate their competence in areas they barely understand, leading to unwarranted confidence in misguided ideas. Conversely, imposter syndrome can make highly capable individuals feel like frauds, doubting their own accomplishments despite strong evidence of their skills and knowledge. By recognizing these cognitive biases, we can guard against them. Instead of jumping to conclusions, we can train ourselves to pause, analyze the situation critically, and seek out multiple perspectives. This process requires active effort, as our minds instinctively rely on heuristics and shortcuts. It is easier to make snap judgments than to dig deeper into context and evidence. But by deliberately slowing down our thinking and examining our assumptions, we begin to override these cognitive distortions. This not only helps us make better decisions, but also ensures that we do not fall prey to illusions crafted by our own minds. The more we challenge our assumptions, the clearer our perception becomes. True wisdom comes from questioning our instincts, acknowledging our limitations, and striving for a more objective view of the world. With this practice, we can step away from emotional reactions and embrace rational, thoughtful responses that lead to better outcomes in life. Over time, this habit of critical thinking strengthens our ability to make sound judgments, foster deeper relationships, and navigate the complexities of the modern world with clarity and composure. Learn about common cognitive biases and actively work against them. Be open to changing your mind when new evidence presents itself. Lesson 8. The difference between opinion and truth. Many things you hear in conversation are not facts but opinions, yet people present them as truth. Someone might tell you, "You'll never succeed in that," but that is merely their perspective, not an objective reality. These statements are often reflections of personal biases, past experiences, or unfounded fears rather than genuine assessments of reality. The Stoics remind us to distinguish between perception and truth, as failing to do so can lead to unnecessary self-doubt and misplaced fears. Moreover, opinions often masquerade as universal truths because they are delivered with conviction. Just because someone speaks with confidence does not mean they are correct. Opinions are shaped by emotions, limited experiences, and sometimes even misinformation. The Stoics urge us to seek wisdom beyond mere rhetoric and to analyze statements critically before accepting them as reality. This practice is essential not only for personal development, but also for protecting ourselves from manipulation by those who may use persuasive language to influence our decisions. In addition, recognizing the difference between opinion and truth is crucial for personal growth. If we allow ourselves to be influenced by every negative remark, we risk limiting our potential. Instead of internalizing limiting beliefs, we should question their validity and seek objective evidence. Many people have overcome odds that others declared insurmountable simply because they refused to accept negative opinions as their fate. The key to personal growth lies in our ability to separate external judgments from our intrinsic potential. We must also recognize that opinions are frequently influenced by culture, upbringing, and environment. What is considered true in one society or era may be viewed as completely false in another. This highlights the importance of critical thinking and open-mindedness in evaluating information. The Stoics believed that true wisdom comes from questioning assumptions and continuously refining our understanding of the world. By embracing this mindset, we develop the capacity to filter out noise and focus on what truly matters. We are reminded that the world is full of subjective viewpoints, and it is our responsibility to sift through them to find what is real. By practicing discernment, we free ourselves from unnecessary mental burdens and develop the ability to navigate life with clarity and confidence. A mind trained to distinguish truth from opinion is less prone to anxiety and fear, as it recognizes that external judgments do not define personal reality. In the end, the ability to discern truth from illusion empowers us to make informed decisions, strengthen our resilience, and cultivate an unwavering sense of purpose in an unpredictable world. Before accepting something as true, ask yourself, is this a fact or is this someone's interpretation? Seek truth beyond mere opinions. Lesson 9. Emotional reactions and the distortion of reality. When you're angry, afraid, or overwhelmed, your perception of reality shifts dramatically. The mind becomes clouded with intense emotions, distorting your ability to think clearly. You see things as worse than they are, amplifying fears and anxieties that might not be grounded in reality. This emotional turbulence can lead to impulsive decisions, unnecessary conflicts, and an overwhelming sense of despair. It is during these moments of heightened emotion that we become particularly vulnerable to misinformation and false narratives, as our capacity for logical reasoning is diminished. The Stoics remind us that emotions are not reliable indicators of truth. They arise from our interpretations, which are often flawed by bias and immediate reactions. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius underscores the necessity of self-regulation, teaching us to look beyond immediate feelings and examine reality through an objective lens. Just because something feels true does not mean it is. The key is to pause and detach from the initial emotional response. When emotions run high, take a step back, breathe, and analyze the situation from a rational perspective. Develop the habit of asking, is this truly as bad as it seems? Am I reacting based on fear or logic? What evidence supports my perception? Engaging in this process interrupts the emotional spiral, allowing you to regain clarity and avoid making rash decisions that may have long-term consequences. It is also crucial to recognize the role of cognitive distortions in amplifying emotional responses. Catastrophizing, assuming the worst possible outcome, can make a minor setback feel like a life-altering crisis, but with the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, we can transform this tendency into a tool for resilience. While catastrophizing leads us into fear and paralysis, premeditatio malorum, deliberately contemplating potential misfortunes, helps us prepare for adversity with a clear mind. Instead of being overwhelmed by imagined disaster, the Stoic approach allows us to mentally rehearse challenges, equipping us with strategies to respond with composure and strength. By practicing this, we shift from passive worry to active preparation, reducing fear and increasing our ability to navigate difficulties with wisdom and confidence. Emotional reasoning, on the other hand, is the belief that if you feel something, it must be true, can trap you in a cycle of subjective interpretations rather than objective analysis. These distortions distort reality, creating unnecessary suffering and leading to misguided choices. Seeking factual clarity instead of allowing emotions to dictate your actions is a skill that requires practice. One effective strategy is journaling your thoughts during emotional moments and revisiting them later with a calm mindset. More often than not, you will realize that your initial perception was exaggerated or incomplete. Another useful technique is engaging in self-dialogue, talking to yourself as if you were advising a friend. This creates distance from emotional immediacy and encourages a more objective perspective. Grounding techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, and mindfulness exercises can help regulate emotional responses and restore a sense of balance. The Stoics emphasized the power of perspective, reminding us that we control how we interpret events, even if we cannot control external circumstances. Recognizing that emotions are fleeting and often misleading is essential for making sound, rational choices in life. The ability to maintain composure and seek truth amid emotional turmoil is a mark of true wisdom and inner strength, allowing you to navigate life's uncertainties with greater resilience and clarity. Before reacting, take a moment to separate emotion from reality. Ask yourself, am I seeing this clearly, or is my emotion distorting my perception? Practice emotional detachment before making decisions. Lesson 10. Building a mind that seeks truth. The ability to see through illusion is a superpower. The Stoics teach us that wisdom comes not from blindly accepting what is presented to us, but from questioning, analyzing, and seeking deeper understanding. Reality is often more complex than it appears at first glance, and those who fail to question the information they receive can easily fall prey to manipulation, deception, or self-delusion. To live well, you must train yourself to doubt appearances and pursue truth relentlessly. This means cultivating a habit of skepticism, not in a cynical sense, but in a way that encourages deeper inquiry. When confronted with an idea, an image, or a claim, ask yourself, who benefits from this narrative? What evidence supports it? Have I considered opposing viewpoints? True wisdom requires patience, persistence, and the willingness to change one's mind when presented with new, compelling information. Marcus Aurelius once said, If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. This mindset is key to avoiding the traps of dogmatic thinking and intellectual stagnation. Truth-seeking is an ongoing process, one that requires vigilance and humility. The more you challenge what you perceive, the closer you come to understanding the world as it truly is, rather than how it is presented to you. Make it a daily habit to question what you see, hear, and even what you think. Journal about your assumptions and challenge them. Seek knowledge not to confirm what you already believe, but to expand your mind. The world is full of illusions, and if you trust everything at face value, you will be led astray. Deception exists in many forms: media narratives crafted for engagement rather than truth, manipulated images that distort reality, and even our own biases that color our perceptions. But if you cultivate the ability to question, to analyze, and to approach information with a critical mind, you will begin to see beyond the surface. The Stoics understood this well, teaching that real wisdom comes from seeking clarity and challenging assumptions. When you develop the habit of questioning what is presented to you, you protect yourself from manipulation, misinformation, and the pitfalls of impulsive thinking. Instead of reacting emotionally to what you see or hear, you learn to assess situations with a rational, measured approach. This ability not only helps you navigate external deception, but also strengthens your capacity for self-awareness, ensuring that you do not deceive yourself with comforting illusions or false narratives. The path to truth is not always easy. It requires discipline, patience, and the willingness to admit when you have been wrong. But the rewards are immense. A mind trained to seek truth becomes resilient, capable of handling life's uncertainties with confidence. The ability to distinguish illusion from reality is not just a skill, it is a form of freedom, freeing you from the limitations of misinformation, deception, and self-imposed delusions. It empowers you to see the world as it truly is, rather than as it is manipulated to appear. With this clarity, you develop resilience against propaganda, emotional manipulation, and the fear-driven narratives that seek to control your perspective.